All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HR Committee meeting for Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? See none. Do I have an approval of the agenda? Yes. Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor McCabe. Adoption of the minutes from HR Committee meeting October 1st, 2024. Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor McCabe. Is there any business arising from those minutes? No. Hearing none. Well, then we'll get right into our discussion and reports. So we have two reports this afternoon. Our first report is the planning personnel request, HR 1105 2024-01, and I believe I'm going to hand that over to Mike. You're going to take that on? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The report that we're referring to is on page 5 of your package today, and it is regarding an update on planning and heritage team capacity and administrative action. The purpose is submitted to provide an operational update to the committee and council and request additional resources. As committee knows, the city of Charlottetown has seen a significant surge in development activity in recent years. The heightened demand for construction and renovation projects has placed considerable pressure on the planning and building inspection teams. These teams are responsible for ensuring compliance with zoning regulations, building codes, and safety standards, all of which are vital to maintaining orderly and safe development in our city. Currently, that workload has far surpassed the existing capacity of the building inspection team in particular. The city's efforts to alleviate the workload by hiring contract personnel have been unsuccessful due to difficulties in attracting qualified candidates. This field is highly specialized, requiring individuals with technical expertise and a deep understanding of municipal regulations and processes. Additionally, the competitive job market for the professionals nationwide has made it increasingly difficult to fill positions on a temporary contract basis. Despite our efforts for recruitment, the city's ability to secure contract personnel has not thus far met expectations. The situation has exacerbated the pressure on existing staff, leading to the need for a more sustainable future. Given the inability to attract contract personnel and the continued strain on the inspection team, it's clear that temporary measures are insufficient to address the city's ongoing needs. As such, it's recommended that the position initially intended to be filled on a contract basis be made full-time permanent. Permanent position would offer several advantages. One, attracting talent. Full-time positions are generally more appealing to candidates, offering job security and benefits, which can attract a larger pool of qualified professionals. 2, retention. A permanent role would help the city retain experienced staff, reducing turnover and ensuring continuity of service, which is paramount in this particular area. 3, efficiency. Increasing the overall inspection team's capacity on a permanent basis would reduce permit processing times, improve the scheduling of inspections, and support the city's ability to meet development demands in a timely manner. So just to give the committee and council a broader view of the next steps, we would proceed with a recruitment strategy, a focused recruitment strategy to be developed in collaboration with the Human Resources Department to attract skilled professionals. In this upcoming budget, 2025-2026, we will be asking for consideration of 2 additional permanent positions on top of this current ask. So these 2 positions would include the manager of building codes. The manager position was actually approved by council as part of a June 2023 resolution to be funded in the 2024-25 budget. However, the budget during this last budget cycle was deferred. And then the second position is a building inspector level 1, and that level 1 building inspector would again help to improve our overall team capacity and enable the team to focus on a more future focused recruitment strategy, training, and succession planning overall. And then finally, of course, staff will continue to assess and monitor the situation and ensure that the improvements in service delivery that we're working towards are realized. So to close, by converting the current contract position into a full-time permanent role, the city can take a proactive approach to addressing the immediate staffing challenges that have been impacted by the current development boom. This will ensure that Charlottetown maintains its commitment to efficient and safe urban development to meet both current and future needs. And so respectfully, our recommendation at this time is that council approves the request to change the 3-year contract building inspector level 2 position to a full-time permanent position. And I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mike. We'll open up the floor for any questions. I think Councillor Ramsey has his buzzer on.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that, Michael. I've been watching the finance and watching the planning, and like this is almost like it's all hat to me because this is the third time I've seen you explain this. I think it's a great idea, and I get a few issues. Like when you say a manager, is this manager going to be a working manager? Like he's just not going to, assign the work? And then the other thing is the way is it going to be easier to find when you offer a full-time position, like instead of a contract position? Because as we all know, in every source out there, everybody's poaching everybody in this world today, through the internet and everything, and they're offering big bucks. So I just hope, this is going to help us going down that road, because we're all receiving phone calls, from contractors and saying, how come I can't get this, now I can't get that, because it's delayed for 2 or 3 weeks or a month. So I'm just hoping that this will certainly speed it up, because I'm in favor of it anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey. Would you like to respond, Michael?
Through the chair, the intent is for that future manager position to be a working manager in a similar fashion to the two existing management positions in planning and heritage. So they would be taking on building code files as well. And to answer your second question, our belief is that, and from some of the feedback we've received in our efforts to find a suitable candidate to fill that contract position, that a full-time permanent position is more attractive for those qualified professionals that are looking for work right now. In particular, because this position that we are recruiting for is a more senior level position. Generally, folks that meet those qualifications are looking for a more stable work environment, i.e. Something that is permanent and provides all those benefits.
Michael, the question I have for you is, so to fully understand there's currently somebody in a 3-year contract for a building inspector 2 position?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Right now, we've been unsuccessful in hiring for that position. We have posted for both that contract position for the 3-year term and trying to fill a maternity leave position, and it's been difficult recruiting for both, but the contract position in particular is what we're asking for action on today, because we have a frankly desperate need to fill a more senior level role to fill some of the immediate needs for building inspection in the city.
So do we have those salary dollars available in our 24-25 budget and 25-26?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. There is no immediate financial impact, as the position was being funded through the Housing Accelerator Fund. So we have those funds allocated for the next 3 years. That was approved through the spending plan for the Housing Accelerator Fund by council just a few months ago.
So if council has agreed to make this permanent position, we would still allocate the dollars from the Accelerator Fund till 2027, and then we would have to include in our 27-28 or 28-29 operational budget to carry that on as a full-time position. Is that ostensibly what we'd be looking to do?
Yeah.
So we're committing ourselves early because of the Accelerator Fund dollars before we get approval from the budget in 27-28.
That's correct. And ultimately, I would say that staff wouldn't be bringing this request forward if we didn't feel like this was an ongoing need, and we feel strongly that not only is this an immediate need, but this is going to be a need post 2027. So from our view, it makes sense for council to move forward with this change so that we can find a permanent fit in this role and help to expedite our development review process.
And the accelerated fund allows us to fund that position on a full-time basis? There's no concerns there?
That's correct.
Okay, any further questions?
Sure.
We have a question from
Yeah,
the mayor.
Mr. Chair. Glad you brought that up, Mr. Chair, because it's the discussion that we had at Finance. So the Housing Accelerator Fund has 8 initiatives. One of those initiatives is one PID, 4 units. So if council decides not to go with that one PID, 4 units, I don't know how it affects the half funding. I know in Oakville, CMHC took back the money because the municipality of Oakville said no. And interestingly enough, in Ontario, province-wide, it already allows one PID for 3 units. So that's province-wide in Ontario. So like what you said is, let's say we don't follow up on all our 8 initiatives. I don't know if they cut a little piece off or they cut it all off. And that means we'll have to find that funding in our budget, like from our budget from taxes, property taxes, and other sources of revenue. So yeah, I'm supporting it, but this really links us to the half funding, or the half, which is the Housing Accelerator Fund, and construction's happening. You're probably getting the calls. I'm getting the calls. Councillors are getting the calls about the process of this. The staff in the Department of Planning, Development and Heritage are working very hard. And, you know, like in any industry, there's ebbs and flows. So we're in a boom period now. At some point, she's going to dip. But these positions can be used for many other functions or tasks that we have to address, i.e. climate change. How do we plan for that? So, and how do we inspect going forward? So I'm supporting it, but we have to remember the half is part of this for the next 3 years. And if we say no on half with the one PID, 4 units, then we'll have to find the money internally.
Yeah.
Correct? Can I just ask that through you to
Yep.
Mr.
No, go ahead. Thank you.
Rus? Is that correct?
Through the chair, at this point, I think it would be fair to say that if council eventually made the decision not to follow through with some of those initiatives, there would likely be a financial impact on that agreement. At the end of the day, the city in good faith entered into agreement with CMHC to complete those initiatives in the initiative list. And so that's the expectation from them. But I think it's fair to say both parties would have ongoing conversations about our ability to meet those requirements in determining what that impact may or may not look like.
Councillor Ramsey, question?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Mike, I just want to touch on the mayor's thing. So is this, the way you're saying it, your worship, that we got to go, we should be approving all these 4 unit things, or we're not going to be receiving the funding? Or is it just, like, are we allowed to refuse some of them through the planning? Or you got to accept everything in order to get the half funding?
You asking me?
Yeah, well, did you, Mr. Chair,
I think
or
what
Mike?
the-
I'm going to ask Mike, I guess.
I think the-
You know, like, because there is some projects out there that are in neighborhoods that the neighbors don't want a 4 or 5 unit place. So then, for an example, if we say no to that, so does our funding drop again from the housing? You know, that, I'm just trying to get it.
So I think to answer that a little bit is that, you know, certainly anything that council decides upon the accelerated fund and those initiatives could have a financial impact. And that financial impact could ultimately impact the decision we're making here today to fund this position permanently for at least the next 3 years outside of our operational budget. So it would be funded through the accelerator fund. And so any decisions that we make could have a downstream effect on this particular position. And if so, then we would be back here looking to potentially fund that position through a request to council to add it to our operational budget, is what I'm hearing. That would be, I guess, kind of worst-case scenario. And then in the year 27, 28, that's when we would be looking to have that salary put into our budget for those positions.
Yeah, and like, as I said, I'm in favor of this. I think it's a great, we need these people here. But at the same time, I'm just still trying to, so are we supposed to say, in order for them to fund this position, we're supposed to say yes to every project in the next 3 years?
Well, it's-
This is, I'm just trying to clarify.
It certainly adds an
Oh,
asterisk.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. It adds an asterisk to it, but
Sorry, that was me speaking out loud. Through the chair, if certain things aren't satisfied, then we won't receive funding for certain milestones. So this position, as far as I understand from Mike, is funded, right? We will receive the funding for this. It will continue for 3 years, at which point we will revert from grant funding for this position to just regular funded budget through operations.
thank you for that, Eleanor, for that update. So, okay, so I guess, are you asking to have us move this on to council as a resolution to council? So do I have
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Moved.
second?
Resolution's on the floor?
I don't know if there is a.
Yeah, it's a
there's
resolution.
motion, isn't there?
Thank you. Yeah, it's a resolution, we have to vote on it. Just want to ask, again, Mr. Chair, this is the discussion, the discussion we're having right now is similar to the discussion we had in finance, in the Standing Committee for Finance and Administration. And after 3 years, you're going to say, well, where's that going to come? Well, with development comes new tax base. With the new tax base comes more revenue for municipal projects, whether it's human resources, public works, parks, recreation. Summerside, as you know, have already gone through this. They passed their official plan. They have passed a new zoning development bylaw, which includes 1 PID, 4 units. But those 4 units are to be townhouses. They made it specifically clear that it has to be a townhouses configuration. So I don't know if I think we're rolling the dice here. If we think that of the 8 initiatives, if we don't do one, they'll prorate it. I don't think that's what happened in Oakville. Oakville, all the money was taken back. And I think we have $10.3 million, that's, or 10.2 through this HAF program, which includes monies, funding for AUDs, funding for positions, funding for the study that we're doing with planning consultants, upland planning, and now going with, hopefully, with Fathom. So there's a lot of implications, but we signed on. So hopefully we can fulfill our commitment, and I think that we can do it in a very appropriate way and where technically possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have someone to move it? Okay, Councilor Ramsey and Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's move on. Thank you. We'll move on to our next report, which is, sorry, I'm just catching back up here. Staffing numbers. Emily, would you like to give us an update on the staffing numbers? I think this is a request that comes from the mayor regularly, so would like to have those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did have a discussion at the previous committee about providing quarterly staffing number updates, but we will bring those forward monthly with the previous year so you can compare. Just as a note for this month, the numbers were pulled from 2 systems, so they are slightly off. So you'll notice this year we only have 3 additional permanents showing. That is not the most accurate number. Next month, they all come out of the same system, so it will be accurate as a go forward.
Well, thank you for that.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing this. But Mr. Chair, you have to remember, of a budget, any budget, you know budgets, 75, 78% of any budget is salaries and benefits. So it's always good to keep a close eye
Yes.
on where we're going. We're going to add some more positions there too, so.
Yes, glad we're able to.
Thank you very
provide-
much.
Yeah, I'm glad we're able to provide that for you and the rest of the members of the committee. So thank you, you're welcome. Okay, so we will now move to a motion to move into a closed session as per Municipal Government Act of PEI, Section 119, 1D, a human resource matter including labor relations or employee negotiations. Thank you. Second? Thank you.